Hi Sunflower, hi Bloomer, it's Martina here at Bloom Beyond. Welcome to this video where we will talk about 4 ways in which perfectionism can block you from healing and letting go. This video is going to be really helpful for you if you are going through some sort of shift in your life where you feel like you're shedding, you're releasing, you're wilting, and this will give you a great understanding of how you might cope with that through perfectionism and how that might show up for you. If you're new here, then welcome. Here, we're all about being able to create a life and business of freedom from perfectionism with the power of the subconscious mind. So being able to overcome perfectionism little by little, day by day, at a subconscious level, right? So let's just dive right in, shall we? And make sure, if you're new here, to hit the subscribe button and like this video during this video at any point in which you feel like you're resonating with what we're really talking about here, right? Also, so glad to those of you who are coming back here and following along as we are growing here at Bloom Beyond YouTube channel. So let's dive in. First, this is what we're talking about, right? 4 ways perfectionism can block you from healing and letting go. And I've listed 4 different ways. So control, attachment, procrastination, and expectation. All these 4 ways that can block you from healing and letting go, they're all rooted in resistance. So when you are grieving, when you are, wilting, when you are letting go of something, when you're transitioning from one thing to the next, from one person to basically no longer being in alignment with that person or no longer having that person in your life, then these 4 things can show up. And they all begin with you having resistance to accept what is. When you resist what is, when you resist truth, when you resist where you are at mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, when you resist your reality as it is, then control, attachment, procrastination, and expectation can very often then show up as a way to cope with your reality, right? Of letting go and healing and grief. So, how does control then show up? And what is control really about? Well, control is one of the ways in which I see a lot of high performers with perfectionism deal with reality. And it's not necessarily about you wanting control over a person or over an outcome or over a thing. It's more so about you being very afraid or just that you just have a lot of discomfort, really, with being out of control. Does that make sense? So you feel resistance to being out of control. And by definition, when you are grieving, when you're letting go, when you're healing, you are going to be out of control. It's the universe's way of giving you an opportunity to trust, to have faith, to basically accept whatever is, and to let that transmute your pain, transmute whatever you're going through so that you can really ascend your consciousness and be able to perhaps choose differently moving forward, right? Because you will then choose differently because you have shifted, you have grown, you have changed. Make sense? So control is a big thing here. If you find yourself controlling through, you wanting to know what the outcome is going to be of a certain situation that you are letting go of, let's say it's a heartbreak, you wanting so bad to know what the outcome of that would be, or you wanting so bad to have closure, or you really just needing that sense of control over how you feel at all times, right? That is a sense of control right there. So be aware of that. Just ask yourself the question, how might I release my need to control during this time in my life, during this season, during whatever I'm going through right now, when I'm now healing and letting go and I'm grieving? How might I surrender to what is? And surrender does not mean that you're just gonna, stop. It doesn't mean that you're going to make the wrongs right. No, it's more so about coming to a place of acceptance of what is. And we do that through surrendering, releasing and letting go, through connecting with our breath, for instance. So take a deep breath in and an exhale out. And say, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. That's a great way to deal with control or the need for control. Then we have attachment, all right? Attachment is another form of resistance. Attachment to outcome, attachment to a person, attachment to a vision, attachment to a future that you might have envisioned, right? Attachment to habits, attachment to ways of showing up and being, right? Attachment can show up and really block you from healing and letting go, right? So when you find yourself experiencing, an increased amount of attachment, which oftentimes happens when you are to let go, when you are to heal, when you are to grieve, when you feel that attachment sneaking in and making you even more attached to that person or attached to that outcome or attached to that thing, then allow that to give you a sense of introspection. Allow that to point you inward rather than attaching outward. Attach yourself to your worth by saying, I am worthy of being here right now. I am safe here right now. Right? Holding your hand on your heart and being like, I am safe here right now with what I have, with what I am right now. This is all about safety, because if you're not necessarily feeling totally safe, which we oftentimes don't do when we're grieving and healing and letting go, if that's the case, then we're going to project outward. We're going to think that the answer is without. We're going to think that the answer is out there in that person, in that thing, in that outcome. When in fact, the answers are always in here. And oftentimes the answers kind of also led you to this point. Your intuition might have led you to this point. So remind yourself of that. Say, I trust my intuition. See? Furthermore, we have procrastination as a third reason that can block you from healing and letting go. So what do I then mean by procrastination in this example here, or this in which we're talking about here? Well, what might happen is that when you're healing, when you're letting go, when you're grieving, you might procrastinate on basically releasing. You might procrastinate on actually acknowledging your own feelings. You might procrastinate even on being still. You might procrastinate on basically everything that has to do with healing, because it's bringing up a lot for you from your subconscious mind. Because what happens is when you are still, when you center yourself in this present moment in time, right? Then what happens is that the subconscious memories, the beliefs, the visions are going to come up in order to let you connect the dots, in order for you to also become aware of your emotions, of your feelings, of your unmet needs, right? That might not have been met in the previous situation in which you're healing from, right? So you might procrastinate on that, right? Or you might procrastinate on moving through, moving on, whatever you want to call it. So you're rather attempting to control and attach, and then procrastinating on moving through and moving on. So you're attaching yourself to what has been or what could have been, and then you're procrastinating on literally grounding yourself right here and now and moving into your beautiful future where you get to be bright, brave, and balanced and more ascended and conscious. Even with mistakes from the past, even with what you might call failures, those are actually there for you to learn, to grow, to expand, to help others through similar things. So let that inspire you. So if you're procrastinating, what I recommend you do is you would want to ground yourself. Ground your feet into the center of the planet, or kind of like a visualization. You just want to ground your feet, stand up, ground your feet, and visualize. You can even close your eyes and visualize all the energies, all the things in which you're letting go of, all the stuck energies, just allowing that to flow down into the center of the planet. And you can visualize that just basically leave your body. When you're visualizing this, you might think, oh, I'm just visualizing it. No. Your subconscious mind works with images, and it doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. So when you visualize it, it's literally happening. All right? So stay open to that and allow yourself to ground. Put your feet on the center of on the earth, right? Even when you go through your day, bring awareness into your feet. Because what happens is that when you're healing and grieving and letting go, you oftentimes stay a lot up in your head, especially if you have perfectionistic tendencies. You want to bring your awareness into your body, and it really helps to bring the awareness into your feet. You can also ground through laying down outside in nature, for instance, or doing yoga, etc. too. Really, really helpful for you to be able to bring to awareness what you're procrastinating on right now. Then we have number 4, expectation. So this is another way that resistance or perfectionism shows up that can block you from healing and letting go. So when it comes to expectation, you might have certain expectations of what healed looks like to you or feels like to you. You might have expectation of what you should feel right now, what you should be doing right now, what you should be putting your effort into right now. You might have a lot of expectations. And these expectations, they bring you down, right? The expectations are literally going to make you feel more stuck than not. Because expectations can show up when you are healing and grieving, right? More so than in the past. And one way, again, to identify whether you have certain expectations that you yourself have put on to you or that others have put on to you as well is by identifying whether you're saying should a lot. In your internal dialogue, can you identify how many shoulds show up for you? How many times you repeat I should to yourself? If that's the case, then observe that. Allow that. Be with that. And choose to reframe those shoulds into I choose. I get to choose. I am willing to choose. That really helps you be able to go and bloom beyond the expectations and get rooted with what is, into what is. So, to wrap up, we have 4 ways perfectionism can block you from healing and letting go: control, attachment, procrastination, and expectation. I want to leave you with this. Grieving and letting go and healing are great ways for you to bloom beyond perfectionism. You might even be able to identify how perfectionism shows up for you, even more so now that you are going through and growing through whatever it is that is happening in your life right now, whatever transition you're in. When you find yourself in what I call a liminal space, a place in between what was and what is to come, that is when perfectionism oftentimes resurfaces or can inspire you to really confront it and work through it. And I really acknowledge where you are at. And I really hope that you can acknowledge yourself too. Life is all about seasons of wilting, falling, rooting, rising, and blooming. And when you're grieving, when you're letting go, when you're healing, you might be wilting and falling, but that is part of your journey too. That actually sets the foundation. You get to set a foundation now. A new soil that you get to sow seeds into that take root and rise and blooms in the next season that you're going to go through, in the next cycle, right? If you would like support with this, with being able to actually clear these blocks of control, attachment, procrastination, and expectations when you're healing and letting go, when you're going through grief, for instance, then I would highly recommend that you go to bloombeyond.com/apply to join the Bloom Beyond Tribe, which is a community where you get chat support and a free monthly cohort, right? You get to be part of that for a free month, really, for you to get clarity on your current situation and your desired situation right now. And for me to be able to get to know you better and my team as well, and everyone else who are also growing through, this season of healing, letting go, completions, to be able to also bloom beyond perfectionism again and again and again. In this group, you also get access to what I call the garden, which also has seeds that you get to plant into your subconscious mind that really are posts and videos, etc., too, that can really inspire you to understand perfectionism better and understand the subconscious mind better, to work with it, to be able to regress back, really resolve things from the past and rewire it, to be able to create a life and business of freedom from perfectionism with the power of the subconscious mind. And then you also get to watch our demo for the Bloom Beyond programs, the Bloom Beyond Perfectionism program, and the Bloom Beyond Mastermind as well, which I'm so excited to invite those who would like a 1-year commitment to be able to really transform their identity from a perfectionist to someone who is a bloomer, who is shining their light and creating and contributing beyond themselves and really enjoying this journey of life, right? So go to bloombeyond.com/apply to apply, and we might see you on the other side. And make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if this video resonated with you and if you'd like to have more of these. See you soon.